station up. Oh, there's the moon. I love how everything rotates and is visible, and that's just amazing. Yeah, so there's the moon of this planet. Hello everyone, Thranxes here, and welcome to episode 1 of Astroneer, brought to us by System Era Softworks. This game is a exploration game and building and some kind of crafting. It's a bit of a unique kind of sandbox experience, but it is a lot of fun. It's recently undergone 2 significant updates, the excavation update and the research update. I've been playing this game a lot. This is by no means going to be a blind play into this game. Instead, I'm going to be showcasing some of the new stuff in the updates and also going over some of my techniques that I like to use, because this game has such variety in the way people do things, and there really isn't a right or wrong answer. So I thought maybe there would be interest there. We're going to start a new map, even though I had 2. I deleted 1. But we're going to start with this little guy, and we're going to talk a little bit about why I'm doing this. So it was mentioned, I think, in my last stream that there would be a lot of interest for an Astroneer game. So you can see we're going to make landfall. But it was mentioned that we should maybe stream it. And I thought, yeah, that sounds great, except I'm really tied up in my stream. Let's survey the area here. I don't see any wrecked satellites. It's kind of crummy. That there would be interest in streaming it, but again, like I said, my stream is tied up, and it did not make sense to me to avoid recording a game that I'm already playing and having a really good time with. So I thought, you know what, we'll just record it and we'll see what the interest level is. And I'm pretty sure I can keep this. What do we have here? Oh, that's the new ammonia. Yeah, the resources all look different. Pretty sure I can keep us on track with objectives. So when you start, no, not resin. I need compound. When you start, you kind of just land here, and the first thing you need to do is start working on some compound. Oh, and we have a cave right next to where we landed. Oh, that's exciting. Normally I make my own, though. We'll see how that works. I might still make my own. I see a lot of resin, but oh, there's some compound. Let's fill up our oxygen tank. So you have to watch your oxygen bar at the top of your backpack and run back to your little habitat when you first start to get more. First thing we're going to do is get some compound and make a small generator. It's the only thing we can make, and it's the only thing we have power to make. And once you make the generator, it gets attached up here, and it's powered with... Hold on, thought I heard something. And it's powered with organic. So we're going to go ahead and grab some of these organics really quick, so that we can put the power back in our backpack and start crafting more stuff. And ooh, I pushed that oxygen level a little bit. Okay. So when you start now, the small generator is all you can make. And it says, yeah, gather organic. So it has a bit of a tutorial now that it tries to get you to follow. And when we put the organic there, boom, we get 70 bytes. And we get all this power for crafting, but we can't craft anything besides the small generator just yet. The bytes, we'll talk about that real quick while this organic is burning. The bytes are for this handy-dandy little thing that comes off your backpack to research stuff with. So we're going to research. They give you 70 to do a canister and some tethers. Now, as you can see, if you've played this game before, everything now costs bytes to research, but it is not linear by any means. So if I wanted to skip ahead and straight from tethers, I wanted to unlock the small oxygen tank, I could, provided I had the data from the research station to do so. So that's one of the big changes that came out with the research update, is that now you're free to research whatever is important to you at whatever time that it's important to you, which is great. Now, one of the things that changed with the excavation update, which is what they're trying to get us to do, is we need to print a canister. So you cannot level or add terrain, which I'll show you. You can't level terrain and you can't add terrain because you need to have actual soil in a canister to do that. And as you can even see now as I'm gathering up this resin here, that my canister is slowly filling up. And we're going to go back and get some oxygen. You can see it's got the little, whoops, wrong way. It's got the little orange dot, and it's a little over halfway full. And then once it's full, you can't gather any more soil out of the ground. And there's a lot more we're going to be able to do with that soon. We could make tethers. I'm not a huge fan of tethers right off the gate, though. Instead, what I'm trying to do is trying to get resin so that we can expand our base. And you kind of want that to be your big priority up front, is to be able to expand your base so that you can research. All right, that sound, that little doom, is that our soil tank is full. You can see it's got this little green dot here. And there you go. That is a full tank of soil, and it will go very quickly when you start adding and leveling terrain. Now, when you level terrain, you only use the soil out of your canister if you're adding to it. If you're taking away, then it fills up your canister accordingly. So let's see which direction we want to extend everything here. We have a cave nearby. Let me remember where that is. Let's see, the entrance is right over here. So we're going to expand the base out in this direction then. I don't worry too much about leveling everything out for my first base. That would just take a lot of extra time. Another thing is make sure that you put. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm trying to do this for people that are new to the game and people that are just new to the update or people that have played it a bit. So when you want to start building your base, you click on your little pipe extender from your habitat, and that will put the direction of the base you want to build, and then you'll throw resin on top, and when you put resin there, it'll extend it and sort of give you this hub. Now, if I want this to turn into a building, all I need to do is put 2 resin there, and it'll turn into a building. But something to note is that when you turn a hub into a building, you can no longer branch off of it, whereas if I don't turn it into a building, I can continue to branch off of it in multiple directions. And because of that, we're going to leave it and build the hub out this way, and probably build it out again. And that was our resin. Okay, we want to get a little bit closer to the cave. But as you can see, extending the base also allows you to connect your oxygen to those hubs or the buildings or any part of the base that's tied to the habitat through pipes. So in that way, I find that building my base up a little bit in the beginning is much more valuable than tethering everywhere. Copper and organic, both very good. Now we're going to gather up some more resin here, which I think we're going to go ahead and let's make another canister so that we can be collecting this soil. Resin is really valuable in the beginning because that's going to determine how many buildings you can build and how big your base can get. This is actually a really good sized resin deposit. Okay, let's head back. There's some more compound over there. We're going to need the compound here pretty quick because the main thing you're trying to get to right off the bat is to research. I think we can go one more hub, and then this is where our building will be. Now, one of the things you can do if you're trying to put things on these, if you're somewhat new to the game, is you can drag your item over to where it's asking for the compound. So this research chamber says, hey, you need to put compound here. Or if you have compound in your inventory, you can just hold down shift and click it. And generally, there's a bunch of little shortcuts like that in this game that can really make life easier that aren't as obvious as you might want them to be. I've already lost track of where that compound was. Now these blue crystals, these are just free-floating oxygen. We're going to go ahead and fill up our tank with those so that we don't have to run back to the habitat. And look, we've got plants. That means we're going to have research that's fairly easy to get right off the bat. That's good. And here's our compound. So let's get some of this. get as much of it as we can. 2, 3, and 4, hopefully. Nope, maybe not. Oh, 4. There we go. Okay. So we're going to head back and get our research station up. Oh, there's the moon. I love how everything rotates and is visible, and that's just amazing. Yeah, so there's the moon of this planet. It's the only planet with a moon currently. You can also see when other planets have close approaches. It's a lot of really neat stuff. We'll get into that later. We're not there yet. For now, we're just going to build the research chamber. It should be your big priority. And then it's going to need power, so we're going to move the generator here. And we're going to get ready to research. Now, if you're new to the research update, you'll see that this doesn't look like it used to. So what used to happen, well, that doesn't matter. So the way it works now is you'll put your research items that say unknown research on the panel, and then this will tell you how many bytes it's going to yield over how much time. So let's go do that. I think we'll be able to get here and back, possibly. Oh, especially if we get some of this oxygen. There we go. Okay. What do we have? Here's some research. Right, so research are just these weird-looking items, and they can look like anything. There's actually lots of different kinds of research. Now, we see where it says unknown research. This one's sort of like a little strawberry without the seeds sort of research. We're going to bring this back to the base, and we're going to talk a little bit about how research works now, and what that means, because it changes your playstyle significantly the way research works. So we lock this in there, and this thing says, alright, this is going to give us 900 bytes over 25 hours. Well, that's because we don't have any electricity. Because the other side of this is that research stations continually take electricity now. So now you can see it's half powered. This can actually get full all the way up to here. And at half power, it'll take 15 minutes, and it'll give us 900 bytes. So the big thing we want to get right off the bat is solar power. So a small solar panel, which will help us with our research dramatically. And because of the little debris area we found there, we already have the copper for it, which is really good. And I think we can drop off some compound as well. Let's look at all the resources we have so I have an idea here. Okay. We have the copper for the solar panel, but what's going to happen is we're going to need quite a bit of organic to keep that research running, because the research station now is going to have a power demand for the entire time that it is trying to run for the 15 minutes or whatever. Each research has a different amount of time and bytes that it gives, and it's going to need power for the whole time. So we're just going to keep our organic here, and then when it runs out, we'll be able to jump and put in the next one. That being said, power generation really becomes your first major concern in this game now, which is why I tend to research the small solar panel right off the bat. Now, if I would have found a piece of aluminum instead, oh, look at those plants over there. Those look different. If I would have found a piece of aluminum instead, I might have rushed the small wind turbine first instead of the small solar panel. Yep, and there we go. Let's put another organic on there. What are we up to? 113 bytes. We'll be there before too long. But in the meantime, we're going to go get more resin and continue expanding our base. So let's go over here. I know there's resin. Look at that. Let's get more. Now, unfortunately, at this point, our canisters are full, so we're not getting any soil. We're sort of wasting that as a resource, but soil is plentiful and everywhere, and it really isn't anything you have to work for too awful much. The biggest component of getting more soil is the time it takes to harvest it. So let's head back. and we'll start looking at how we're going to branch our base off. So one of the things we're going to need from our base here, I like having a lot of different hubs laid out, because you can use them for a lot of different things, which we'll talk about. So I'm going to do, let's see, in this building here, let's see, we got a smelter and a research chamber. So that looks like the only two things that we start with. Let me go ahead and get our smelter. And then next to our smelter, we're going to do another building. And we're out of resin already. And this also doesn't have any power. Now here's something to note, is that this research station is a constant power consumer, and as we talked about, it's only halfway full in power. Which means if I put another generator, say I just put it like over here on this, and I start powering it, because you can snap generators anywhere there's items. This generator is going to power the research area first before it powers anything else, and we want our smelter to be powered first. So we're going to move the generator over to the smelter and put organic in it, because the smelter needs power. So we're going to get that started. Now once the smelter is fully powered, then the piping will wire the power from the generator to our research station, and the research station will once again be powered, but in this way it'll make sure that the smelter always gets first dibs on the power, which is important at this stage because we're going to need to start smelting things here before too long. Here we go, we're going to need more organic to keep everything running. Trying not to deform the terrain too much, but we can always smooth it back out later. There you go, and as you can see now, the smelter is fully powered. It doesn't need any more power, and so now it's giving the power to the research station. Just how we wanted it to go. Alright, so if we look at our research now, we're up to 250 bytes. We can get a small wind turbine, but we don't have any aluminum. We could go looking for some. Let's see, we're also going to need a mineral extractor before too long. That's going to really change the way things work. But we're also going to need a medium printer. We need a lot of things right out the gate. And we're going to go ahead and put our soil down here. We need a lot of things starting out, and we're just not there yet. So let's head to another debris pile. I saw one not too far away. Now I'm not able to see it. Is it over in this direction? Oh, the generator's running out of organic. Okay, hold on. I can hear it winding down. So let's go ahead and top it off. No, I think we're going to have to go with the power generation first, as much as I want to make a smelter. I'm sorry, a printer and all of those goodies right away. We really need to keep our power running for the research to keep happening. So the best way to do that is to look for these little canisters. Look at that, aluminum. These canisters, or also you can look for wreckage, what appears to be crashed satellites that are just laying around on the ground. And those will also have a good chance to give you a jump start on resources that you would normally have a difficult time getting, such as copper, aluminum, lithium, or maybe even titanium. Okay, so at this point, we're about to be able to research solar, but we have the aluminum, and we'll go here to power. We have the aluminum for a small wind turbine, but solar is more reliable because at least then you're getting power half the day. So I think we're going to wait. We're going to hit our 400 bytes here, and then as soon as we hit 400 bytes, we'll make ourselves a solar panel. So we'll just run back over in this direction. Or was it this direction? I'm already losing my orientation here. There's mountains kind of on all sides, and right, so there's some resin. So we'll go here, we'll get this resin, and we'll use it to make a couple more canisters. Canisters are really good. Don't be afraid to make a bunch in the beginning part of the game. You're not going to need a huge base right off the bat, but you are going to eventually need a lot of canisters, so there's no point in waiting to make them. And we'll make another one. And then that way at least you're gathering soil right off the bat, which will give you a bit of a jump start. Okay, we might have pushed that oxygen a bit too far there. Oh, that's not good. Oh, breathe a little slower. Yeah, it's gonna be close. I'm just not getting any oxygen. Oh, everything's getting dark. Please, plug in. Normally you don't want to push it that much to the limit like that, just for future reference. And now that generator is also going to power our backpack. You can see it's filling up our backpack, and then it's going to give it to the research station. So let's go ahead and research a small solar panel with the bytes that we have, and we'll take this copper, and that's exactly what we're going to make. The small solar panel is going to help a lot, and we're going to put it right here. So now you can see we're getting power from the generator and power from the solar panel, and the research station, I'm not sure why that does that. That's a little bug with the current update. Now we're above half power, and the time remaining has been reduced. So the more power you're able to apply to a research station, the faster it's going to give you the bytes that it has, which means we should be able to do the small wind turbines soon, and then we'll have both types of power generation, or all three types of small power generation at our base. And we'll be able to keep the research going continuously, which is very, very good. Alright, looks like we've got more resin here. Let's go ahead and grab this up. Filling up our canisters while we get resin. Now, I really prefer to make a big base even for my first base. I like to have a lot of options, so I make a lot of hubs so that I can branch off in different directions. If you want to conserve your resources a little bit, you absolutely can. I also like to store one of each item somewhere, and we'll talk about why that's important here in a little bit. So we're going to need a building here. And then, oh, are we out of organic? I think we are. But even without organic, that solar panel is giving us a quarter power. So we haven't stopped getting bytes yet. And, well, it looks like the sun's about to go down, at which point we will be, all research will halt. Okay, that building we don't have fully researched yet. But this one, we're going to sort of do the same thing here that we've done with the last few, which is we're going to branch off, make a hub, and then we're going to place our resin. Oh, we're out of resin. Okay. Before we go, let's go ahead and we're going to learn the small wind turbine, because we're about to hit 200 bytes. And then hopefully we'll be able to get power even at night, as long as there is some wind around. Alright, and we'll just put that right here, which no wind. Now, as a trick, you can kind of snap this in different areas and see if they're having better luck with the wind around them. Normally, when you see these little white particles kind of dusting through the air, it means there is wind nearby, so we should be seeing some soon, I would hope. Well, perhaps not. Well, there's always the small generator. So we can go ahead and get a little more organic for that. That sound is not good. That sound means there's a storm. Yep, and here it comes. Okay. So storms are a big deal, and they're a bigger deal depending on where you are. Oh, that might have waited too long. Let's put that organic in there and get some shelter. You always want to take shelter during a storm, because they can and will kill you with flying debris. Not these little ones that you see, but these big ones that you're going to start seeing bounce on the ground. You get into the heart of the storm. There you go. These ones that are tumbling, those will take you out. There aren't exactly monsters for you to fight or aliens for you to fight or any combat necessarily in this game. There are a lot of natural hazards that you have to be aware of. And I'm not sure why we leave the door open. You would think with a storm like this you would shut the door, but that's just the way we do it here in Astroneer. Go ahead and wait for the storm to pass. And there we go. Looks like it's on the other side of us now. Perfect, and there it goes. So we've got another canister of soil filled up, that's good. Unfortunately though, you'll find the storm does not turn the small wind turbine because the wind is too chaotic to maintain or at least I imagine that's the reason. But the wind is too chaotic to maintain a proper current for your wind turbine. I have read in some areas, though, that may change in the future. For now, that's the way it is. Let's see. We're going to need more organic. Let's see. How many bytes do we have left? 172 bytes remaining. That's really not that many, considering what we're going to need. We're not going to go down the cave this episode yet, though, because that for me is a whole big expedition, and we're going to figure out if that cave is even viable or if we need to make our own, and we'll talk more about that next episode. But for this episode, we're just going to try and get the basics of our base set up. So I'm going to get a little more resin. Let's find another resin patch. And then I think what we'll do... Oop, here's some resin. I think what we'll do is try to make it over here and grab this research off of this tree. Well, it might be a little far. We're getting close to, that's the 50% mark. Okay. A lot of these little tall plant stock type items are going to have research hanging from them, but not all of them. So it pays to know kind of what the research looks like and which research is more valuable than others. And that really just comes with trial and error of hooking it up to the research station and seeing what it's rated at. How much over how much time. And there's all sorts of research. So there's some research that gives you a lot very quickly, or that give you a lot over a long period of time, or that give you a little bit over a long period of time, or a little bit very quickly. So you really have to look at how much is available total, and what the time it's going to take to extract that knowledge is, because that's really going to determine. Well, you'll still probably, early game, you'll still probably research it, whether it's efficient or worth your time or not, just because you need research. But in the later portions of the game, it pays to know which research is the best. So take the time to look at the numbers so that you know which research is the most bang for your buck, so that you have things that you can hook up that you know are going to give you a lot of research over the next hour, and then you don't have to worry about finding another research item for an hour. Because those exist, or maybe not an hour. Well, it depends on your power levels. We'll talk about that when the time comes. We'll analyze each bit of research as we get it. Now, the strawberry one I kind of threw on quick, but it was actually very small. It's, 900 over 15 minutes at half power isn't bad, but as you can see, it's 90 bytes a minute. And that's the important stat to look at when you have research going, is at half power, if it's 90 bytes a minute, that means obviously it's 100 bytes a minute at full power. There isn't any kind of a cumulative boost. You don't get more than you put in. And there, that research is done. Now, let's see what the next one looks like. The next one says 649 bytes over 5 minutes. So this one's actually going to 118. No, that's at full power. Right, so at full power, this one's 118 bytes a minute, which means at half power it would be like 60 some odd bytes a minute. Bad math. 59 bytes a minute, which is not as good as the other one. And that's the way it goes. But we're getting the generator and the solar panel and the wind turbine is starting to spin. We're getting a good wind here. So that's why this is running at full power, but when that generator stops, we're not going to have full power anymore. So there you go, 9 bytes a minute and 59 bytes a minute. Yep, there you go. So these buildings I tend to do in a very specific order, and I keep them close to my smelter with the smelter in the middle. And the first one is going to be none of these, actually. Mineral extractor is one we're going to need, and the printer is the other one, but we're going to get the mineral extractor first. We're going to put that on the right side, and then we're going to put our printer on the left side. Because you're going to need the smelter pretty close to both of these. Beyond that, let's see if we can find the smelter, actually. No, I'm sorry, the printer. We need the printer. There it is. Medium printer, 500 bytes. But we're going to need copper. For that, we're going to need more copper, and for that, we're going to need to engage our smelter. So that's going to be when we go down into the cave and begin looking for all of the new items to research and to smelt down there. But that's actually going to be the next episode, and this is going to be where we wrap up this episode. So this has been Astroneer episode 1. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've had a good time watching, because as always, I've had a good time playing. Come back next time and we'll talk more about the last 2 updates and my path for progression that I personally use. Please let me know in the comments down below if you're feeling this series or if you'd rather see something else, because I don't want to trudge along with a game that the interest isn't there for. But until next time, take care.